This is Forest Grove School, a one-room schoolhouse in Bettendorf, Iowa. Children living on area farms attended classes here from 1873 to 1957, when it closed. A group has begun efforts to try to restore it.
Well, obviously the building looks like, it's beyond, beyond saving, but really we have professionals on board that have helped us evaluate it. One is an architect, historical preservationist from Cedar Rapids, and in his professional opinion, he thinks it's easily salvaged. Of course, the first thing we really need to do is to shore this building up, to raise it off of its foundation, and to get the new foundation put back under it so that we can put it back down. Then the actual building restoration can begin. As we look around, you can see that the bones of the building really are in very good shape, and that's been confirmed to us by the historic preservationist. The rafters are of an interesting type of architecture. We have coved ceilings, which are unusual for a one-room schoolhouse. Obviously, most of the plaster is off. There's holes in the roof. There's holes in the foundation. There's holes everywhere. But it's all doable. But beyond the building, there's all these great stories of the students who went to school here, who played on the playground equipment that's still out in the yard. And that's all part of the project. It's not just about the building, but it's about the whole package. And we want our community to know about the school and the history of the school, but also about the people who went to school here.
One of the students who attended classes here was Sharon Clemens, who was enrolled between 1945 and 1953. When she graduated from 8th grade, she was one of 5 students in her class.
Every day we had reading, writing, and arithmetic in some form. Of course, we were given assignments to work on while she was teaching other classes, because pretty soon it would be our time, and we would have questions in our book that we would have to be able to answer. And she would come to each group of students all through the day, and she would go through all 9 classes. I loved history. I still do. And I love geography. And singing. The Postilion, I like that one. Be a gay postilion with boots and spurs, I'll go. I'll drive 4 dashing ponies, blah, blah, blah. This is Sharon Clemens, myself. Okay. Sharon Johnson Clemens, sorry. Nancy Arnold Pike. Shirley Bungy Wenhausen. Jerry Kopinski, my nephew. And John McBride. She's looking at my report card the other day and she says, "Misbehaves?" I said, "Yeah, I was a tomboy. Sure, I misbehaved. Talked." Remember one time she put me and Calvin Watkins right next to one another in the same seat, because we talked too much. Well, let's see. Conduct. I had one ex for very good. Then there were a lot of exes that annoys others.
There's a category that says annoys.
Yes. Inclined to mischief. We had recess 15 minutes in the morning. Of course, lunch was half hour, I believe, and then another recess in the middle of the afternoon. We would play hide and go seek, Red Rover, baseball. Then they started putting more equipment in. Of course, the swings were there and the giant strides were there, and they put a merry-go-round in. That was the worst thing they did, because kids got on there after lunch, and that was just terrible. We can't talk about that. The giant strides, I remember they were probably about this long, with bars in. And if you were small, they would pick you up and put you through those. You could sit there and hang on. And then they'd start going around, and you would be the one that was really sailing around up there. It was like one of those rides at an amusement park. How they exactly did it, I can't remember all that. I just realized it was fun, but it was dangerous.
The land on which Forest Grove School is built has for generations been owned by the Blunk family. When the school closed in 1957, ownership reverted back to the family and to Delbert Blunk.
We actually decided to go ahead and go through with restoring it. My brothers and I remember the meeting that we had. It was in my parents' yard area on the farm, and And I said, do we want to do this? And everybody said, yes, let's do it. You know, I think we've had some people that have, you know, indicated that why hasn't this been done, and maybe it's too late to restore it. And we've discovered that a lot of the building cannot be salvaged, but there's a good part of the structure that can. And the rafters look good, and there's some of the floor that can be saved. And we're not quite certain everything that can be saved, but when the structure is completed, we see it as a museum for the community. If my dad were alive to see what was going on, he would certainly tear up. I think if he could see it, he'd be very proud of what's going on, and be very proud that there will be a legacy for Forest Grove School to be shared with the community.